This is Evan Sidery, the host of Locked On Colts.
And I'm Tony Wiggins with Locked On Jaguars. We got a good crossover show for you coming right now from Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Colts on a Thursday.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone. As I mentioned, I am Evan Sidery, the host of Locked On Colts. I am joined by the OG himself, Tony Wiggins of Locked On Jaguars. We're here today for a fun crossover special day. We'll be with you guys for about 20 to 25 minutes here, going over a very important matchup in the AFC South on Sunday between the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars at Lucas Oil Stadium. Tony, how you doing today on this Thursday morning?
I'm good, man. It's bright and early, and I'm not used to this daylight saving times of the way the sun works. So sometimes I feel like a little bit of a vampire, but it's all good. But we want to thank everyone for making Locked On Colts and Locked On Jags their first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. What you got, man? You guys started out slow, and now all of a sudden, Carson Wentz looks like he's in a groove, and Jonathan Taylor is a truck. So the Jaguars have a lot on their hands this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can start off the show if you want to just throw me some Colts questions there. Just going over, like you mentioned, Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor. Wentz had one bad game this year, but outside of that, he's been very efficient. He looks the part of a top 12 quarterback in the NFL, I would say, and that's everything the Colts would ask for with Wentz so far, paying a first-round pick and a third-round pick in last year's draft. If Wentz keeps us up for the rest of the season, Tony, that's well worth the price of admission to get Carson Wentz on board here. He's just running the whole playbook for Frank Reich. He can run RPOs. He's a mobile quarterback too. Very strong arm. Him and Michael Pittman Jr. have a very strong connection right now as well. So it's really fun to see those two get going and Carson Wentz really patrolling the offense at a very high level. But Jonathan Taylor, Tony, I think it's fair to say I think he's coming very, very close to Derrick Henry as far as one of the best running backs in the NFL. Just the way he's playing right now is incredible. He's on pace for 2,100 scrimmage yards this year in his second season. That'd be the most, I believe, since Ezekiel Elliott in his second season. So this guy's a full-blown superstar. Last time these two teams faced off, Tony, he went for 250 rushing yards. So this could be one of those games where JT just goes off once again. And if that happens, it's going to be a long day for the Jaguars because Jonathan Taylor's going to ride this entire Colts offense. If they want to make the playoffs, it's going to be all on Jonathan Taylor's shoulders.
It seems like that. And you mentioned I do think he is as good as you says he is because he actually has a total package. He can run for power, but then he has that elusiveness. And he also identifies running lanes really well. We got a pretty good running back down here too in Jacksonville in James Robinson. And it's a little bit different though. It's a little bit different than, and I'm sure we'll get into that in the second segment. It's a little bit different than Jonathan Taylor. Let's talk more about Wentz, man. Has the juice been worth the squeeze to you guys up there? And because last year, this time, people were talking about Frank Reich possibly being on a hot seat, which I thought was ridiculous. But has he been everything you guys imagined or what you guys thought he would be?
Yeah, I think he's been exactly what I thought he'd be and more. Just we knew we would have a little bit of the 2020 version of Wentz at some point. It happened the absolute worst time for the Colts in that loss against Tennessee, where if they would have won that game, they'd be near the top of the AFC right now. They'd be controlling the AFC South in that situation. But unfortunately, they saw the bad version of Wentz in that game. But outside of that, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, throwing for over, I think, 1,200 yards so far this season as well, or 1,700 yards. So Carson Wentz just looks the part of a franchise quarterback. He's a guy who Frank Reich fully trusts. We actually had a chance to talk to Frank Reich earlier this week, and he mentioned that the playbook is fully open for the first time since 2018 with Andrew Luck under center. So you can tell he fully trusts Carson Wentz right now. And right now, Wentz is proving the doubters wrong. I mean, he can get everything done in the middle of the field. He has the strong arm. He can take deep shots. We haven't seen since Andrew Luck when he quarterbacked this offense. So the 2018 version of this Colts offense is back. It's definitely not Andrew Luck level, so to say. But I'd say it's a tier or two below that. That's still a very average to an elite offense. The Colts have scored 30-plus points the last 4 games, averaged 31.5 points the last 6 weeks after Carson Wentz got healthy from his ankle injury too. So this Colts offense hitting the high gear at the perfect time right now for a playoff push, and it's going to be on Carson Wentz's shoulders the rest of the way. But so far, so good with Wentz, Tony. I think right now it's fair to say that He only 28 years old. This guy's probably looking like the future quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, and he has a receiver, Michael Pittman, which is the perfect draft choice. And what I mean by that is a guy chosen in the second round, because some people don't like taking receivers early, that may have had some questions. And then all of a sudden, just he looks like a guy that's going to turn into maybe, need I say, a Keenan Allen, where a guy that you take day two of the draft and he hangs around your franchise for 10 years and starts making himself like that borderline Hall of Fame type. He's the big body. He can catch it. He can run it. He plays faster than his 40 times suggests. And he looks like a guy that's a straight keeper, man.
Absolutely. Pittman looks like a star, and it's so fun to see Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. That 2020 draft class, you added DeForest Buckner via trade and Julian Blackmon. I mean, those first 4 draft picks for the Colts in that situation, that 2020 draft class looks super special for this Colts team. But yeah, Pittman looks like a stud right now. Future wide receiver 1. He's taken that baton away from T.Y. Hilton this year, who I think T.Y. Hilton is probably in his last year as a Colt, maybe in the NFL too. We're hearing some retirement whispers right now from T.Y. Hilton that this could be his last year. So this could be officially Michael Pittman Jr.'s show to run with in Indianapolis. And like you mentioned, as far as comparisons go, I mean, this guy reminds me of Vincent Jackson. Just the way he can get up and down the field, big body, can move inside and out, and just the way his connection is with Carson Wentz right now. 5 touchdowns over the last 4 games. He's on pace for 10 touchdowns, 1,300 receiving yards this season. He's taking that year 2 leap, and I mean, there's nothing much else you can say about the guy. I think the Colts now with Pittman at the number 1 receiver, if they add another weapon next offseason to go with Michael Pittman, I mean, this offense could be a rocket ship just taken off with Wentz, Taylor, and Pittman. That's kind of your new triplets here in Indy.
Last minute of the first segment, I want to talk about the defense that has been talked about so much, with, of course, DeForest Buckner, who you mentioned, Darius Leonard. How's Kwity Paye going? How's he looking? I know you had a little bit of a hammy early in the year. How's he going for you guys?
Yeah, I think Thursday when they played against the Jets last week was his best game of his career so far. Heading into that game, he had 0 quarterback hits. He didn't really do much as far as rushing the passer. It was a really rough rookie adjustment for Kwity Paye. But on Thursday, frankly, it's against the Jets, so you have to throw a little bit of caveat in there. But he looked really well in that game. 3 quarterback pressures, multiple quarterback hits. He looked at the Michigan version of Kwity Paye and the guy who the Colts invested so much in the first round. And hopefully it's a sign for what's to come starting the second half of the season, because if Kwity Paye can get going here and hit the ground running a little bit, he's going to take so much pressure off of DeForest Buckner. That's what I was so excited about when they drafted Kwity Paye, because you put Paye next to DeForest Buckner, Buckner's not going to really see much double teams anymore. But with Paye not doing well so far, Buckner's really getting double, triple teamed on some snaps. So he really needs Kwity Paye to help him out here. If not, it's going to be a really long year for DeForest Buckner as far as the numbers go. But hopefully Thursday was a starting point for Kwity Paye, because I think we could see the same thing on Sunday against the Jaguars. A little bit of a leaky offensive line at some time. So this could be a situation for Kwity Paye where he could really bounce back and pop off a little bit.
All right, segment 2 is coming up here with Evan Sidery of Locked On Colts, and we're going to get into the Jaguar part of it. He's going to find out for you Colts fans what's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And also in segment 3, we're just going to give us some insight into how we think this game is going to go. So we'll start segment 2 here in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Colts.
Let's go ahead and dive into our sponsors of today's show. The first one is from one you guys all know, and it's McDonald's. This episode for Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Colts is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving community since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's where friends and family can come to reconnect. A place where classmates can meet up for a study group, knowing now dependable Wi-Fi and endless supplies of French fries and McFlurries. Win or Lose is a place where teammates, competitors, the home team, and your away team can come to recharge. It's the place you always look forward to stopping by at a long road trip to rest your legs and refuel. Other examples of needing a situation where you want to go to McDonald's. Let's say you're coming back from the Colts game on Sunday from Lucas Oil Stadium. You want to stop by, or you're in Jacksonville watching Trevor Lawrence play and getting that win against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, which was an incredible win. Stopping at McDonald's after is a really great place to go. So head to your local McDonald's to refuel and reconnect. Say Locked On Colts or Locked On Jaguars or the Locked On Podcast Network. Have a watch party there, so to say. We love McDonald's. We love it over there. And bum, we're loving it, Tony.
You know we are loving it, and you're right. It was a big win. It was a huge win for Jacksonville this past Sunday against the Bills. You didn't expect that, did you? Be honest with me.
No, I mean, that had to be the most shocking win of the entire NFL season, potentially the last couple of seasons. I think Urban Meyer had that look on his face like, how in the heck did I just do that when he was walking into the middle of the field at the end of that one? Because that reminded me an awful lot, Tony, just talk about the Colts versus Jaguars, the 2018 Colts Jaguars game where down in Jacksonville, just no scoring at all. Andrew Luck couldn't do anything. And Cody Kessler beat Andrew Luck in that game. It reminded me an awful lot of that one in 2018. But yeah, that was an amazing win for the Jaguars, and one where hopefully they can bounce back and get some momentum going a little bit in the second half of the season, because me and you were both very high on the Jaguars in our ultimate crossover preseason special. I had the Jaguars at like 6 or 7 wins. I think this could be a really a big bouncing off point for them because Trevor Lawrence looks the part. It won't show in the box score, but I'm super excited about Trevor Lawrence right now.
I am too, and the reason why is because he has this toughness that you never know. You can always look at these quarterbacks when they come out and you can see the talent, their ability to throw the ball, but you never know if they have that thing. And that thing is what's going to help them overcome adversity, because trust me, adversity comes quite often in the NFL, no matter how good you are. Every single week, there's going to be something that you have to overcome, especially if you're a young football player. So right now, what he's shown us, he went out, he was writhing in pain last week. He got his ankle rolled up. He went and he couldn't even put pressure on it as he was walking into the locker room. And then like Willis Reed, after halftime, here he comes out and he's running up and down the sideline and his hair is blowing around him and the fans are going crazy. So the thing is he's gotten hit sometimes when he scrambles. Receivers haven't been open, and he's tried to play hero ball. But to me, that's a good thing for a young quarterback, because that means he's doing every single thing he can to try to will this team to victory. Ironically, the two victories they had, he wasn't his greatest day statistically, but he hung in and he did what he had to do when he had to do it in order to get a win. And I think that's a great quality for a quarterback to have in the NFL.
Dare I say, it kind of reminds me of Andrew Luck a little bit during his rookie season, where he was just running around making things happen when they shouldn't. And like you said, the toughness factor too is something that like Trevor Lawrence has in spades, and that's why he was projected like the future prospect, like an Andrew Luck of 2012. And I think the box score won't show, like I mentioned before, Tony, but I think this guy's a future superstar. And just overall throughout the season so far, just not even looking back at last week, but just the entire first 7, 8, 9 games for the Jaguars, how would you grade Trevor Lawrence's performance so far?
I'd have to do it on a what they call it in college. You have to do it on a bit of a curve. And,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. For me personally, it's an A-, and I think he could probably. Sometimes he has bad habits where his technique is a little bit off, where he doesn't make the throws on third down that he should, and but if we're doing it on the curve, if I was being objective, I'd say a solid B right now, because sometimes you have to work out those kinks. I try to consider what's around him, and even though he has a great running game, they really just got a tight end in here in Dan Arnold that they traded for, and then with the receivers, even if these guys were better, you would still have some of the struggles that you have because it's pretty much everybody's new. They're all getting to know each other. You know what I'm saying? So a little bit of that lack of familiarity combined with a new coach, new coordinator, new surroundings, new level. You have to consider all of that. But the eyeball test, if you look at just the stats like some people do, I'm not a real big stats guy. I don't knock people that are. But I more or less watch the game, and I go by what I feel about what I see. And from what I see, he was definitely worth the number 1 pick overall, and he was worth all of the praise that people gave him.
Let's ask about the biggest topic, I would say, in the NFL this year in Jacksonville, and that's Urban Meyer. I mean, we know what's going on off the field. We've seen the on-field decisions as well from Urban Meyer. How in the world has that experience gone for you, Tony, down in Jacksonville?
It's been weird. It's been different because one of the things that I was a proponent of them getting Urban and someone like him, because I thought a franchise, I thought they lacked leadership, and I thought they lacked a coach who was about the details and a coach who would have every single thing covered. I pretty much thought it would be boring a little bit, but I thought it would be sound, because sometimes when you're sound, you're very boring. And sometimes when you're not sound, it's very exciting. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it would be sound. I thought it would be slow. I thought it would move at a little bit of a snail's pace, but it would be organized. Well, it was total opposite. they came in here and training camp was a hot mess because they had a quarterback competition with Gardner Minshew, and they came out and got blown out by Houston in game 1, and they looked totally discombobulated in the preseason and in the first game. And then, of course, Urban doesn't get on the team plane, and then that mess happens. And 2 weeks ago in a game against Seattle, the week before the Bills upset, they had 12 guys on the field twice in a row on consecutive plays. And you're like, the coaches are looking around at each other. I don't even know how you do that. Evan, have you ever seen anyone? I think it was after the change of possession. You get 12 guys on the field, you get a penalty. The referee comes up, sets the ball. They have to call a timeout because they still have 12 people on the field. So it was just like that stuff right there. You did not expect that from Urban Meyer because, even though there's a jump from college to the NFL, great coaches always seem like they're ahead of everything. It just doesn't. It seems like he's learning from behind. Last week goes a long way though into making that stuff kind of go away in the minds of people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a really interesting second half of the year for Urban Meyer, just coaching that Jaguars team, Tony. But I want to hit on just one young player that I was super excited about heading into his second season, and he's kind of not being utilized how I thought he would. I want to get your thoughts on it. Laviska Shenault, only 32 catches so far in the first 8 games of the season. Feels like Jamal Agnew's getting used more in the Shenault role than Shenault should be in the first place. What's going on with Laviska Shenault? Because Pittman's taken that leap in year 2 for Indy. Why isn't Laviska Shenault right now for Jacksonville?
I think it's hard to find a role for him. He doesn't run. He's built kind of compact, even though he got good height on him. He's 6'1.5". Everyone wants him to be exactly what you just said. And I think every time they try to go out and make that happen, you can't force it. And we all thought he was just that Swiss Army knife type of guy. But then every now and then when you forget about him, there he comes. He makes a play and you go, well, that's what we were talking about. But I don't think you can any longer hang your hat on the fact that he's going to turn into some sort of superstar. I think on a team, when they get to the point where they're contending, he's the 3rd or 4th receiver. And it's not going to be like a Michael Pittman ascension. I don't think that. They're already talking about the Jaguars need to get 2 wide receivers. They need a 1A and then another guy. So the podcast I did yesterday, I talked about him grabbing 2 guys in the offseason. It's because he just doesn't run. He just doesn't separate. And maybe he'll be better when you have other guys around him that do run. And you mentioned Jamal Agnew. Jamal Agnew is a separator. And that's a quote from Urban Meyer. He's their best separator. So they're missing that speed. They're missing that ability to make a big play on offense. And he just hasn't been able to give it to him. James Robinson you want to talk about second-year players? James Robinson, I think, is a top 10 running back in this league. And most people don't think that. Watch him play. And I can't put my finger on why he's so good. Don't even ask me why. It's just that when you watch him and you'll go, okay, that kid got lucky. Okay, well, he gets lucky a lot. You know what I'm saying? With his vision, with his ability to see things. And he has that good body lean where when you make contact with him, he's always pushing the other way. And that goes a long way on third and 6, and you hit him at 3rd and 5, and then he finds that body lean and he gets that first down. So just a real good baby Emmitt Smith, baby Walter Payton, baby Frank Gore type of guy that you really can't put your finger on what it is, but every single week he shows up. And I don't even know if he'll play this week. I know he was hobbled last week with a heel, but we'll see if he plays.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable. Undrafted free agent, and he's turning into what he is. Just an incredible find by Jacksonville there. We've talked about Laviska Shenault a little bit, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen. We all know he defeated the quarterback version of Josh Allen on Sunday, doing all he did. But those are 3 or 4 young guys there we just mentioned, Tony. For Colts fans listening or NFL fans listening, who are some more under the radar guys? For my last question before we dive into our last segment of the show, maybe some underrated young pieces to the core for the Jaguars moving forward.
Rudy Ford played well last week in the nickel situation. He was a guy really signed to be a backup safety and a special teams guy. He played extremely well last week. Devon Hamilton is going to be big, the big nose guard. He's a second-year player as well. He's a really, really good football player out of Ohio State, 6'4", 330. So watching him and Quentin Nelson is going to be fun this week because you're going to see a lot of big people moving each other around. those are pretty much the most people. Shaquille Griffin has played real well as a free agent that they picked up, and I'm sure he'll see Michael Pittman some on Sunday. But for the most part, those are the guys. And Miles Jack, of course, is still here, and he's playing well. Those are the core players that's going to have to step up this Sunday when they play. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try to give a little bit of overview of the game and see what's going on with the game. And we're going to do that on a crossover edition of Locked On Colts, Locked On Jags in just a second. After I tell you guys about the Get Upside app. That's right, Get Upside, one word, GETUPSIDE. What is it? Well, it's an app in your app store or on Google Play right now that allows you to save money on gas. And you know those gas prices have shot up a little bit here recently. If you get the Get Upside app and use the promo code touchdown, what's going to happen is you're going to start saving 25 cents per gallon on every fill up that you have. That's right, 25 cents per gallon. Now, on your initial fill up, you're going to get an additional 25 cents as a bonus when you use that promo code touchdown on the Get Upside app. So you don't have to pay full price at the pump anymore. You're going to get cash back using this app. And what happens is it goes into your account, and all you have to do to access it is request it, and it'll slide right back into your bank account, into your or for an e-gift card on Amazon, or into your PayPal account. And you can cash out anytime to your bank, PayPal, or e-gift or Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use the promo code touchdown and start saving you some money on your gas right now. 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. As a bonus, that's up to 50 cents cash back. It is unbelievable. So make sure you check out the Get Upside app and use the promo code touchdown to start saving on your gas. Back here, third and final segment with Evan Sidery and Tony Wiggins. All right, so last week I picked the Jaguars to get steamrolled, and it didn't happen. A lot of fans of the show says pick them to get steamrolled again, and maybe we'll have that same luck. But I always try to be honest. This is a different matchup. Against Josh Allen, they didn't respect the run, so they pinned their ears back and really wanted to knock him off his square and bang him around. The Colts run the ball really well, so I don't know if that strategy will work. I do think part of the strategy works. I do think Carson Wentz is worse when you pressure him up the middle. So I'm looking for a lot of A-gap blitzes to try to get him moving around a little bit and try to force him to make mistakes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the game plan for Jacksonville, Tony. But just for me right now, the way this Colts offense is clicking, 30-plus points the last 4 games, I think it's the first time in like 8 or 9 years in the Colts history they've done that. Just fully in rhythm right now, this Colts offense. Carson Wentz playing efficient football. Pittman taking that leap right now mid-season. Jonathan Taylor probably going to be the rushing king this year in the NFL. Just very balanced overall. The offensive line is gelling as well, getting fully healthy for the first time this season over the last couple of weeks. This feels like to me just a really bad match for Jacksonville. I think the spread right now is 10 points. I feel like it should be a little bit higher because I think people are thinking that Jaguars just beat the Bills. So it's probably in a situation where I think it should be like a 14, 15 point spread, honestly, Tony. The Jaguars look good, but this Colts team is just on a roll right now. I know they lost. They're only 4-5 this year, but the way their offense is playing, I'm really fully in trust in the way the Colts are playing against a team like Jacksonville too. Tony, they're going to pile up the points here. I think we're going to be seeing another special Jonathan Taylor game. I mean, we mentioned it earlier in the show, 253 rushing yards for Taylor last year in Week 17. I could easily see another game for Jonathan Taylor where he has like 150, 200 yards in this game. I mean, this guy is taking a superstar leap right now, so I just have a hard time seeing the Jaguars staying with the Colts in this game. Just the balance, Wentz and Pittman down the field. If you take away the run game, the pass game, same thing. You can just run Jonathan Taylor all day long. I just think it's a really tough combination for the Jaguars to stop. What do you think about that entire balance for this Colts offense against this Jaguars defense?
They are balanced, and they're very good. However, I got to warn you now. The Colts and the Jaguars have been in some games where the other team wasn't supposed to win, and they did. Last year, the Jaguars won 1 game. 1. Guess who it was? Yep, you got it. It was the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I will also tell you with this, I'd be shocked if Taylor had that many yards, is because the Jaguars have absolutely shored up their defense against the run. If the Colts going to have an advantage, where they're going to have it is, I think Pittman and Shaq Griffin, that'll probably be a push. You don't stop anybody. Unless it's Deion Sanders, there's no receiver. I mean, there's no corner in the league that's really going to shut somebody out. But I will tell you this. The Jaguars do have an Achilles heel, and that's tight end. That's guarding tight ends and running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. So I think Naheem Hines could have a little bit of an impact. And I don't know who you got catching the ball. Maybe it's Mo Alley Cox, or if 84 is still running around up there, but Doyle, I don't know who it is, but I'd find him and get him the ball, because if you look back at the Miami game, Mike Gesicki had a blast. And last week, the Bills really missed the Knox kid that really can catch the ball too. I think the game would have been differently. So if they don't go to the tight end, if they think they're going to just line up Jonathan Taylor all day, I think they got another thing coming. I would agree with you, though, that it's going to be a tough game for Jacksonville. I think the Jacksonville fans, though, they don't have any illusions of grandeur. What they want is they want to see a consistent effort. They want to see a lot of fight, and they want to see them play like they played last week, because now it's not like they blew the Bills out. Buffalo was like 15 yards away from tying the game up, and the Jaguars made some plays. They won 9-6. But what you saw was just competency and fight and competitiveness. And I think that's what the Jaguar fans want right now. I got to make it up to Indy. Enough of all this stuff. I got to make it to Indy, because there's a steakhouse down there downtown that they told me is
St. Elmo's.
So, yeah, man. Yeah, so I got to make it to Indy, and I heard the complex down near the stadium is on par. But I've never been to Naptown, man. So maybe one day I'll make that trip, and we'll get together and we'll go do it and have a good time. I had fun here, though, and I tell you can have some more fun listening to the Peacock and Williamson podcast every single day. Brian Peacock is an NFL analyst, and Matt Williamson is a former NFL scout, and they come together, man, and make this is one of the flagship shows of the Locked On Podcast Network, and it's always a fun listen for me because it's so informative. So make sure you subscribe and make that your second listen of the day. First listen, though, Locked On Colts, Locked On Jaguars. It's been fun. Evan says we're gonna get steamrolled and mollywopped, so we'll just have to see how that goes up in Indy, man. This has been fun. You guys take care of each other. Enjoy the game Sunday. For Evan Sidery and Tony Wiggins, Locked On Colts, Locked On Jaguars, we thank you for joining us.